Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief, and also you, that's right, through your kind patronage, through our Patreon page. I will talk about that a little bit later. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. This is live stream number 1180. If you're not really familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then I will normally take a first look at a game. Now, I might page through a role-playing game book or maybe do an unboxing of a board game. And every once in a while nowadays, I will pontificate about a topic related to our hobby. But tonight, I am going to dive on in and take a first look at the hard science fiction role-playing game, ChangedStars from DieselShot. Yes, we will be diving on into this in just a bit. If you happen to be tuning in live to take a peek at the first look, it's probably going to be about 35 minutes before we jump on into that, because we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. Then, of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my absolute best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Sean O'Donnell. Mike is with us. DieselShot. They're also with us tonight. So if you've got any questions about ChangedStars, I think you know who you should address those to. Scenes by Omnic, Robert Santon, Wallona's Cave, our good friend the Madman, as well as Kevin King are all here with us in chat tonight. I'll also take a guess. The lovely and talented Miss Sarah D is also lurking in the shadows. She is one of our chat moderators. She carries the glittery banhammer. So behave yourselves. Before we jump on into the news, I'm going to mention this a couple of times, but I do want to remind everybody, I will be a guest on the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo YouTube channel tomorrow. So I have shared the link to the channel because I don't actually have a link to the stream. And that stream is going to start at 8:30 Central Time tomorrow. So if you're bumming around, don't have anything too exciting to do, be sure to pop on in, give me a little home field advantage, say howdy. I am taking a guess they're just going to be asking me questions about, my history in the hobby and stuff like that. So I don't know. I am a special guest at Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo 3 coming in January. Elliot and I are going to be heading on there. So pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. All right, so let's dive on into the news, because now up for pre-order From Cubicle 7 Games is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Lords of Stone and Steel. Here's the latest. A guide to the Empire of the Dwarfs and Hold of Carrick Norn. Many of the dwarfs' ancient holds have been pillaged by orcs and goblins or infested by foul skaven. Those that endure are scattered throughout the mountainsides bordering the old world and stretching into lands beyond. Several outposts are dug into the Grey Mountains. Chief among them is Carrick Norn, famed for its cannon foundries, cunning merchants. I've got a cunning sail, me lord. Lively taverns and redoubtable elite garrison, the Peak Guard. Mighty as the remaining holds are, enemies continue to assault them. Adventurers may find opportunity here. The rewards for those who help defend what remains of the dwarf realm may be rich, but they pale in comparison to the loot that lies amongst its ruins. Inside, you're going to find a guide to the Karaz Akor, the everlasting realm of the dwarfs. Several important dwarf patrons, including Thorgrim Grudgebearer, Ungrim Ironfist, and Gotrek Gurnison. New downtime events and endeavors. Ideas for theming adventures to suit dealings with the dwarfs. This includes discussion of relations with neighboring nations and rival holds, both friendly and hostile, and how the dwarf devotion to honoring oaths and extracting vengeance might lead to new adventures and dangerous complications. There's rules for fighting underground combat. You'll also see the war party of Blistrock's Blight, a band of Skaven from Clan Morbidius, whose plans to infect dwarf outposts in the Grey Mountains is being complicated by internal divisions, as well as a detailed guide to the hold of Carrick Norn. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Lords of Stone and Steel requires the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay core rulebook in order to use. The 130-page hardcover with PDF will carry an MSRP of $39.99 when it arrives in the fourth quarter. Once again, you can pre-order it right now and score the PDF immediately. Or if you want to just grab the PDF, you can do so right now over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Always good to see more whiff-rip releases from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games. I will say, I wish we would see more adventures coming out. We really haven't gotten any adventure releases for whiff-rip in a while. And I remember my buddy T.S. Lukehart had told me that there was I think it was going to be a 3-part adventure campaign that was in the works. Wonder what's going on with that. Yes. On our next news piece, Bundle of Holding is offering a discounted bundle on the Coyote and Crow role-playing game. And actually, ta-da! I got the deets on the deal. Adventure! This all-new Coyote and Crow bundle presents Coyote and Crow, the alternate history role-playing game set in the free lands of an uncolonized North America. In 7 centuries of bitter cold after a climate disaster changed world history, new civilizations arose on the northern continent. Cultures both scientific and spiritual, but also isolationist, nationalistic, and tribal. Now as the ice sheets retreat and the seas finally grow calm, the alliances of the long winter are eroding. Nations seek advantage over their neighbors. New technologies arise with fearful speed, and there are signs the spirits and monsters of legend may be real. Has something awakened them? After its stunning $1 million Kickstarter campaign in March 2021 and its 2023 Origins Award for role-playing game core rules, Coyote and Crow has attracted media attention for its vividly drawn setting where high technology has built on or collided with legends of the past. Its D12 dice pool, archetype-based character creation, and goal-driven experience system support stories of intrigue, espionage, and mystery, along with straightforward Monster of the Week. Visit Chahoika. No, I'm not even coming close to that pronunciation. And forge a legend that will be told around the fire for generations. This all-new offer gives you almost all the current Coyote and Crow line for an unbeatable bargain price. For just $17.95, you'll get all 10 titles in the Coyote collection, which has a retail value of $90, as DRM-free ebooks, PDFs, basically, including the complete 484-page Coyote and Crow core rulebook, plus the free Rules Light adventure, and 9 standalone stories. Case of the Great Underwater Panther, Creep, Stories of the Free Lands, Laughter, Lost and Found, Path of Ice, Raiders of the Burial Mounds, The Road Called Foxpaw, Stolen Heart, What's the Damage, and Whispers from the Well. These savings will run through April 30th. Pretty sweet. Pretty nice. I gotta say, I've always heard good things about Coyote and Crow, but never had an opportunity to take a peek at it. So this would be a great time for you to be able to jump on in and grab yourself a copy of just about everything. I think it's missing a couple of releases, actually, but pretty much almost everything that is out there for Coyote and Crow. Very cool. All right, let's see. Kathy Evans, Chris Lundgren, Agile Monk are new to chat with us tonight. I believe I've said hello to everybody. Yes, I may not have said hello to Semper Buffo. I see Semper Buffo's with us. So welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, everybody. Moving right along, now available in PDF is the Pendragon 6th edition Game Master's Handbook. And here's the latest from Chaosium Inc. Bring Arthur's Britain to life. In Pendragon, the Game Master is the leader of the game, the source of knowledge, the organizer of society, armies, and the land itself. Without the Game Master, there'd be no game. In role-playing, there is not a more noble act than to take on this great responsibility. The Pendragon Game Master's Handbook contains everything required for a fledgling or veteran game master to open the window to the fantastical world of King Arthur. Pendragon, the Game Master's Handbook, greatly expands the setting of the game, from highlights of important characters and time periods to courtly intrigue and a myriad of strange and wondrous beasts, spirits, fairies, and fiends which lurk in the dark places of Arthur's Britain. The book also includes in-depth discussion of religion and magic and how to use them in your game. The 240-page PDF is available now, carries an MSRP of $24.99 over at DriveThruRPG. The print edition has been delayed. So it was supposed to ship out, I want to say yesterday. I don't know if that was still the case. And oddly enough, you might remember I shared a news piece for Cults of RuneQuest, Gods of Fire and Sky, and I mentioned that was supposed to be coming out in May. It came out today. Zoinks! Kind of weird. So it almost feels like Chaosium Inc. decided, well, the Game Master's Handbook for Pendragon is delayed. We've already got Cults of RuneQuest latest release in warehouse, so let's get that out. Kind of getting that feeling. But I am definitely looking forward to checking this out. I like the new edition of Pendragon. I know there are some whiners and complainers out there talking about, oh, there's women knights. Oh. Yeah. There's also dragons and fairies and ghosts. There's the Gray Knight. Yeah, okay. There's the Green Knight. But people are going to be concerned about female knights. I don't know. The way I look at it, if you don't want female knights in your game, don't have female knights in your game. End of story. Moving right along. All right. So our next news piece, the Gary's Appendix Omnibus is currently up for crowdfunding. And I've got the lowdown from RPG Ramblings. We are back. Gary's Appendix, a periodical zine filled with articles and an expanded bestiary for the OSR, using old school essentials mechanics where necessary. Now compiled into a 264-page hardcover omnibus. Issues 1 through 6 have been gathered together, given a fresh coat of paint, with new layout and full-color graphics, and smashed into an oversized tome. All of this is inspired by the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. Gary wrote and collected a vast amount of information, rules, and guidance. Its haphazard nature and perplexing subjects makes it as fresh today as it was when he penned the work almost 50 years ago. Indeed, Gary's Appendix draws inspiration from those past works of the gaming giants. Gary's Appendix is all about the love for the past and the excitement for the future. Now, of course, the authors do not have the audacity to believe that they can reproduce a work that matches the magic of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Instead, they seek the spirit of that evergreen work by presenting an array of articles that are enjoyable to read, informative to the game master, and useful at the gaming table. Each issue contains a collection of articles written for the OSR by a variety of authors. In addition, Jeff Jones contributes an expanded entry for a collection of monsters from the OSE collection. Now, this Kickstarter project is well past its funding goal. I believe it's cracked 1,000% funding. It did have a relatively small goal, I will say. But you can reserve a copy of the 264-page hardcover omnibus with PDF for a $45 pledge, or grab just the PDF alone for a $25 pledge through May 8th. You can also order the 7th issue of Gary's Appendix by way of this Kickstarter too. Now, the PDF should be out in June, while the physical book is expected to follow in November. And if you follow the Gaming Gang, you might recall I reviewed the first 3 issues of Gary's Appendix, and I liked them. If I remember right, I think I gave all 3 together a single score. I think I gave it like a 7 or a 7.5. So I wasn't blown away by every article in those first 3 issues, but there was plenty of useful information and cool stuff in those as well. So you've still got time to get on board and get your copy of the Gary's Appendix Omnibus. Yes. All right, so let's see who else. Did I say hello to Melwinius from York already? I think maybe I did. I know I noticed he was here. Said, short hello from over across the pond. Mainly watching the videos. Ah, very nice. Very nice. Cool deal. Melwinius of York says they're looking for a 4th edition. I guess 4th edition of Pendragon, but it is expensive. No, pretty wild. Pretty wild. I got to say, I used to have the 1st edition of Pendragon, and the reality is there haven't been tons of changes. At its essence, it's still pretty much the same. All right, final news piece. The tiny cyberpunk role-playing game is out in PDF. Now I've got the info from Gallant Knight Games. The future is here. Welcome to Tiny Cyberpunk, the minimalist role-playing game of dystopian near future. Using the rules in this book, you'll be able to play a variety of characters ranging from street punks to mechanics, drone operators, hackers, and more. You can take the fight out of the streets into the glass and chrome towers of the corporate suits, throw down with friends at hollow dive bars, and more. Tiny Cyberpunk features everything you need to play the game, as well as character creation, hacking rules, vehicle rules, hideouts, drones, and more, all in 140 pages. The core rulebook includes enemies, NPCs, as well as expanded tools for the game master, such as corporate actions, tables for generating details of the city Neodymium. Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. Neodymium is a cyberpunk city setting to play in with corporations, gangs, rivals, espionage, near dystopian disasters, and much more to engage with. Adventure hooks, district rules, and more are all used to bring Neodymium to life. I don't know of a printed copy of this yet, but the 140-page PDF is now available over at DriveThruRPG for $14.99. And I would have to say, if you were looking for some material to port over to Tiny Cyberpunk, there's always Cyberpunk Red, which is really cool stuff. Very, very nice. Very nice. Kevin R. Smith is popping on into chat, as is Indarius Termina. Okie dokie. That is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, even Dungeon Masters Guild, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all that adds up and really does help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always support us by way of our Patreon page, which there is a link in the show notes for. Or if you just want to make a one-time contribution, you can do so. Hey, maybe you want to buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda? It's been a while since I said that. There's also a link to our PayPal in the show notes. And I also want to remind you, if you have not gone and signed up for our Discord server, by all means, please do. It's absolutely free to do so. Although there are some Patreon members only channels in it, but there's still plenty to keep you busy if you are not a patron of the Gaming Gang. So very cool. Very cool. Kevin R. Smith said the one short-lived Shadowrun campaign they played in was decent, but that is not pure cyberpunk. No, that's not. Indarius Terminus says cyberpunk stuff requires specific style for them. Kevin King also points out that Artelsorian Games also regularly releases content for Cyberpunk Red. They tend to release a lot of freebies too, kind of on a monthly basis, if I remember correctly. Chris Lundgren points out they've never been able to get into anything cyberpunk. Yeah, I can tell you as a game master, it can be tricky because of if you've got players who have played like Cyberpunk 2077, which is actually built on the game world of Cyberpunk Red and prior to that Cyberpunk 2020, interestingly enough, in case you didn't know that. But if you've got gamers who have played through that, they're kind of expecting a certain thing that might not be what takes place at your game table. So there is that. But I like Cyberpunk Red. I think Cyberpunk Red's pretty cool. I would love to take a look at Tiny Cyberpunk. I gotta be honest, I don't think Gallant Knight Games really cares about reviews I mean, I've shared news from them for, quite a few years now. And I did review way back when it came out, Tiny Dungeon, which was kind of cool. That was back when I would actually do written reviews for PDFs. But that was it. And I don't recall getting that as a review copy. I think I bought that. So Kevin King says Mike Pondsmith has defined it as high-tech, low-life. Pretty cool. All right, anyway, so I was talking about our Patreon. I do want to give a shout out to our fine Patreon members who are supporting the Gaming Gang at the $10 tier or higher. Our good friend, the Madman. We've got Tessie, Trekkie, Dan Webb, Tier 2 DM. And just the other day, GameCat joined up at the, I want to say the $10 level is the sharper. I threw in like titles for each of the levels, and it actually corresponds with the Discord server too. And I used old like names of the levels from D&D, from like AD&D. So we got like the Acolyte, the Cavalier, or no, is it? Yeah, I think it is a Cavalier. Maybe it's the Chevalier. Maybe it's, anyway. So yeah, so there are different levels. And of course, if you are supporting us over on Patreon, I also carry that over to the Discord server so that you've got access to the members only channels over there, which includes some GM advice. So there's that. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Once again, I'm going to remind you tomorrow night at 8:30 Central, I am going to be a guest on the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo's YouTube channel. I do not have a link for the actual stream, but I am sharing the link to the channel on YouTube. So if you do pop over there, I'm sure you will see that there's a live stream going on. And if you want to pop on in, say hello, give me a little bit of a home field advantage, that would be very cool. I can only assume they're just going to be kind of asking me about like the hobby and how I got into it. And I don't know. I didn't know. All right. So Chris Lundgren's trying to take chat off in another direction as usual. Geez, Chris, why don't you start your own live stream, man? Tossing out sort of Shannara role-playing game. Now he's asking people about the Creative Commons. It's kind of funny. Chris is asking all the 5.5 dungeon masters who are hanging out in chat, which I don't think there's many. That's one of the reasons I was laughing. Oh, yes. Yes. So anyway, so Chris asks, what time is that Pacific time? I think you guys are 2 hours behind us. I think that's usually what's going on. So anyway. So DieselShot says, we'll start our own live stream with Daruni 5 card pickup and Thread therapy. Oh, this is a nod to the role-playing game, is my guess. That is my stab in the dark. There you go. Oh, Darius Terminus says, what's 5.5? It's the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons. Or as I like to always say, the new edition of Dungeons and Dragons. All right. So as I had mentioned early on, we're going to be taking a first look at the hard science fiction role-playing game ChangedStars from DieselShot in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
humanly possible. But now you can have all the power and excitement of Nintendo right in the palm of your hand. Introducing Game Boy. It's portable, it's in stereo, and its games are interchangeable. Plus, Game Boy comes with the outrageous new game, Tetris. And for head-to-head competition, use the revolutionary video link and blow your opponent away. Game Boy, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power, portable power.
I can get you Wilkins coffee for a price.
I wouldn't touch it.
There's no future in an attitude like that.
In a dark and distant age, a lone warrior with mystical powers,
Master of the beast.
and the creatures he commands. Rue, his strength. Kodo and Podo, his thieves. And Shirok, his eyes. They will challenge the forces of a brutal tyrant.
Did you actually believe that you and your flock of peasants could overthrow my kingdom?
But the battle for the fate of their world
With the threat of such a weapon, I could rule unopposed.
will lead them to another.
The ultimate power awaits you, my lord. The dimensional portal, the doorway to your ultimate triumph.
To the most barbaric land that time has ever known.
This is Los Angeles. Most awesome place in the universe.
Yo, Darth Vader, what is this, some kind of movie set?
You gotta get yourself some fresh thread. Rock and roll, baby. Whoa.
How come a clean-cut jungle boy like you is hanging out with a creep like this?
This geek is really trying to get the bomb.
The world is mine! You must pass me first.
Mark Singer returns in Beastmaster 2 through the portal of time.
I have got to say, my all-time favorite man thrown out of time movies is Army of Darkness. God, I love that movie. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, what? It's like, what the hell? I haven't watched that in a while. I gotta bust that out. Now, you might recall it was fairly recently I shared a brief intermission with the first Beastmaster trailer, and I had mentioned I'd never seen the movie. Obviously enough, I have never seen Beastmaster 2 either. I know, I should probably get around to checking them out. Mike says they just watched Beastmaster for the first time last week. What a weird one, but hey, loved its old stuff. And Kevin King says, hey, that cast made Tanya Roberts acting look good. DieselShot says throwing them both in their watch list after that. Chris Leonard points out the first Beastmaster is a classic. I just never had an opportunity to check it out. I don't know why. And it's weird, too, because I loved Conan. I remember going and seeing Conan a couple of times in the theater. And I don't know why I didn't check out any of the other I checked out a few, but not many of the fantasy movies that came out in the 80s. It's more science fiction stuff that I went and saw. All right, speaking of science fiction, whoa, what a segue that was, huh? Tonight, we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Changed Stars from DieselShot. The 304-page PDF is available by way of DriveThruRPG. Now, I don't know when this hardcover is available. I think, and I'm sure DieselShot in chat is going to be able to verify this, or maybe explain how you can go about getting the hardcover. Kind of thought maybe they're in the midst of fulfilling their crowdfunding, so the hardcovers aren't for sale yet. I don't know. I will take a guess. Probably going to have an MSRP of $60. Once again, we'll leave that ball in DieselShot's court so they can let us know about the hardcover. But of course, there you go. DieselShot just says they just completed their fulfillment to all the backers. And this is the hardcover right here for Changed Stars. Do want to mention the fine folks over at DieselShot were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else involved with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. It's important for you to know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book. I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside. All right, there is nothing on the back as far as for me to read. So let's jump on in. First thing we'll do is take a look at the credits page. Lots of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's take a moment here to give credit where credit is due. It's my understanding, I think this role-playing game uses six-sided dice. So here we've got our introduction. So if I remember from the news piece I shared about this, humanity has gone to the stars and tried to, I guess, inflict their will upon the alien races that they ran across and then got their asses kicked. So I guess I think humanity is now trying to find their rightful place in the universe. So looks like we've got a bit of our background here. I also understand that this is supposed to be a hopeful setting. So this is certainly not a grimdark science fiction setting. We're not looking at Warhammer 40K here. So as far as our character creation, we've got your species, your archetype, your attributes. So we've got 8 points to break up into attributes. All our attributes start at 2. Then we got some skill points, and we get a gear package. So our attributes and skills. So we've got cognition. So we have scrutiny, medicine, systems, resilience, empathy. Okay, so here are our species. If you're curious about the production quality, nice heavy paper stock. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a finish, but not a ton. Not a ton of kind of gloss or, I know a lot of people find some of the role-playing game books just have a little too much glare coming from the pages. I get that. So we're taking a look at our different species. Each one gets a page. So we got the Mirai, look like they're insectoid. The Rast almost look like otters. That's kind of wild. The Synth, we have different variations of the synths, it looks like. Okay, here are our archetypes. So we have got engineer, face, hacker, investigator, marauder, marine, mechanic, medic, officer, pilot, scientist, and sneak. Looks like we also have something known as edge. So I'm going to take a guess. And of course, DieselShot's here in chat with us, so they can, kind of point us in the right direction with this too. Maybe edge is sort of along the lines of Benny's, fate points, something like that. DieselShot says they ran with a very nice yearbook printer company. Had a great selection of papers. That's cool. So here we've got different trees. The killer tree, mechanic tree, medic tree. So as an example, tier 1 of the medic tree is lifesaver, reviver, nurse, and surgeon. Tier 2 is angel of death. When a friendly creature becomes broken, you may make a reaction, side action attack against the enemy who broke them. I also have Angel of Mercy. When a friendly creature within half your movement of you becomes broken, you may move to them and make a medicine test as a reaction to deploy any drug on them that would take a main or side action normally, such as adrenaline. I also have Angel of Life. Anytime you take an action that heals a character's health or stamina, they heal an additional +3. So DieselShot says, Edge is a push your luck mechanic that grows an additional dice pool with risk associated. Mitigating or running up edge is a key part of the ebb and flow of play, and gaining is tied to rerolls. You can reroll pretty much anything, supposing number 1 on an edge die on the initial roll, but you gain +1 edge. It functionally doubles the die pool's chances, so you don't need too many D6. Here we got our gear packages. Money. So we got civilian packages, blue collar, bouncer, dandy, frontier, ruffian, medic, scientist, spacer, tech, welder, criminal packages, bruiser, dispatcher, hacker, smuggler, restricted packages, charmer, doctor, marauder, mercenary. So it looks like giving us some examples of some character sheets. So we get into our equipment. I also seem to recall running across something with ChangedStars that there's quite a bit of a theme of transhumanity with this. Now, could be wrong, but I could have swore I ran across that. So here we got some weapons. DieselShot says, these are the character sheets of the read-along examples throughout the chapter showing the finished product. So Chris Lundgren says, we're having a hard time seeing the book clearly. Well, as far as I can tell, this is all in focus. So DieselShot says there's a cyberware section. So we got drugs. Oh, that's good clot shot. General equipment, combox, radio, translator, SOS beacon. Here are some cybernetics. Services, accommodations. All right, so we get into the rules. Yes, here we go. Playing the game. Tests and rolls. When the outcome of characters' actions is in question, the Dreamweaver, obviously that's the game master, calls for a test. A player rolls 6-sided dice, commonly called D6s, to resolve a test for their character. The Dreamweaver rolls for non-player characters. Every test is governed by a skill. Player adds together their skill and governing attribute, then rolls that many D6s to resolve the test. Every 6 rolled is a success. There you go, little dice pool action. Let's see. A single success is enough to overcome an uncontested challenge. Negative or positive modifiers may be applied to a test by circumstance or the use of tools. Modifiers are conveyed as a plus or minus X, adding or removing dice to the test. Okay, so not necessarily adding or removing successes. Extra successes, known as twists, may be spent on augmenting the outcome of the test. The DW considers a total number of successes when narrating the result of a test, but only one success is necessary to succeed on any task that is uncontested. Gonna take a guess. Contested tests, whoever gets the most successes is going to be the winner of that. Okay, here we go with the edge. Edge dice are D6s rolled alongside every test. They may be gained by converting a twist from a test into an edge, reaching or failing resolve tests to avoid gaining edge, becoming shocked. They are treated like base dice in every way except that they represent the edge resource, trigger shocks, and may be expended for edge breaks. When an edge die rolls a 1, it triggers a shock. Only one edge die is showing a 1, it's a level 1 shock. There's 2, it's level 2, 3, it's level 3. When a creature falls unconscious, their edge is set to 0. Players may reach, gaining 1 edge and re-rolling any non-success dice, as long as the test did not result in a shock. A test may not be reached more than once. So there's your pushing your luck. Okay, so here's some info about our shocks. So level 1 is a small physical response, -2 to relevant tests, persists until the end of your turn. Level 2 is severe, lose control of your present surroundings and any held items, -2 to all tests. Also lasts until the end of the turn. Oh, until the end of your next turn. And traumatic shock. So you gain a psychological trauma. Yikes. So DieselShot says successes in a contest negate whoever you're trying to stop, basically. You line up the 6s, they knock each other out. So whoever, taking a guess, whoever's got any 6s left is the winner. Just basically saying, I don't know. I'm asking. Age of Adventure is with us in chat. Welcome aboard. So here we got our twists. We get some examples of shock. So it seems as if the tests and the edges might have a little extra complexity. Might not be as rules light as you might have been thinking, taking a look at this. Lona's Cave says, I like the shades of purple. DieselShot says, yeah, that's right. And then you succeed whoever has at least 1 6 standing or neither with 0. And then twists normally happen with overflow, etc. etc., etc. So we got combat twists, knockdown, lockdown, shocking assault, gouging shot. So we have suppression. So it looks like combat might have a little crunch to it. We've got our hazards and utilizing stealth. There's some hacking. When trying to gain access to restricted data or subvert digital technology, a character makes a systems test. This is known as hacking. Characters in ChangedStars are confronted with a wide variety of machinery that can be hacked to their advantage, from AI cores to parking meters. Digital systems can be manipulated to think your way with the right tools, skills, and luck. It's now we're going to get into vehicles and spaceships. So we also have drones here to start off with. I would say the artwork's pretty solid throughout that we're seeing here. So we have starships, spaceships, I guess. Crises on spaceships. There you go. A shipboard crisis is an event that threatens to destroy or suspend key functionality of the ship. While a crisis is presented in a component, that component is non-functional. Actions within or governed by it are impossible or difficult to attempt, and people within it are at great risk from hazards. All right. Trying to see if we have like any kind of deck plans. Maybe that's, if we do have them, maybe that's towards the back of the book. I'm going to take a wild stab that there's probably some rules for building your own spaceships. We got space travel. Oh, here we go. We get a deck plan for the shuttle. And for this as well. That's cool. Oh, there we go. Freighter ship. Commune envoy. Rapier hauler. Sweet. The Rast yacht. Weren't the Rast those otter-looking creatures? So, Age of Adventure mentioned they joined late. Is it a D6 dice pool? Yes. That is what's going on. With some tweaks to it. Kind of cool, organic looking spaceships for certain species here. Like right here. The Naus Guy personal cruiser. I'm sure that's not how it's pronounced, but Stygian battleship. So we got quite a few. Now we've got Leviathans, the super carrier. And then we are going to get into some lore. Looks like we're going to get quite a bit of this. The Trinity is a union of three stellar polities. The newly formed Artemisian commune, comprised of former human empire worlds, the venerable Thran Federation, and the Mirais ruling council of queens. They have unified military intelligence and scientific endeavors and cooperate extensively in all matters of state. So get that information about the Trinity. The humans, the Thran. The Rast. So we're going to get into more details about these species that you can play as far as player characters. So we've got AI, locations. Looks like we've got different systems. That's kind of cool. I like the way that's laid out. Well, if anybody thought that this was just simply kind of a knockoff on Traveler or Cepheus Engine, I think you're certainly seeing that that is not the case. Here's Rast Space and their home ships. All right, so here's the Game Master's Guide. Antagonists and allies. Nonviolent conflict resolution. Tabletop role-playing games take an inherent stance on the nature of violence through their rules, both inclusions and exclusions. ChangedStars seeks to encompass all forms of conflict resolution it plausibly can, from diplomacy and problem solving to shootouts and space battles. It's worth discussing expectations with your players about the level of violence versus other forms of problem solving that will take place in a game. For most ChangedStars games, you will want to emphasize violence is not the only conflict resolution method. No murder hoboing, gang. Any solution the players think of can be attempted and, at the Dreamweaver's discretion, succeed. Similarly, some conundrums, from puzzles to riddles to investigations, are sorely against the tastes of certain players and will provide out-of-game vexation more than in-game satisfaction, if overused. Well, if you know your group, you should understand the sorts of adventures that they enjoy, the sort of challenges they enjoy tackling. Although the reality is, if you don't float out different things to your group, then they just settle into kind of a, in my opinion, kind of a rut. Here's our bestiary. Looks like we've got quite a few entries there. And as far as creatures, looks like we're getting some artwork there. Gotta say, this looks pretty interesting, gang. Is this how we're going to wrap up with the bestiary? No, we're going to get an adventure. Yay! Because I tell people all the time that when we get a core book, especially for a system that's something new that we're not familiar with, and we don't get an adventure, it's not good form. So, One Pump Town Adventure. The frontier town of Grandhaft's life support is damaged in a disaster. Requires a specific part, a coaxial fiber cartridge. Time is short, and the mother network determines the best course of action is salvaging parts from a nearby mining facility that was never fully decommissioned. That is because this facility's existence was largely scrubbed and overlooked. It has been turned into a, oh, spoilers. Sean Dowell says, always wanted adventure so I can see the design intent in action. I completely agree. Absolutely. So it looks like we've got a few different acts here. Nice. Some maps. And we will wrap up with a blank character sheet. Sweet. Very cool. All righty. So that is a peek inside ChangedStars from DieselShot. Once again, I do not know if you can place an order yet to pick up the hardcover. DieselShot can let us know in chat. Still have a few moments before we wrap up. But if you want to grab the PDF, you can do so right now over at DriveThruRPG. And it is $30. Very nice. Very cool. And of course, I will have a review of ChangedStars in the not too distant future. Gotta say, my interest is piqued. Yes. I will say, just by taking a peek at it, the dice pool with the edges and the twists probably will take most people a little getting used to from what I could see. But I don't know. We will find out. Because like I said, I will have a review in the not too distant future. As far as next week, I'm not sure what we're going to take a peek at yet. Now, I did get an email from Free League Publishing. They are sending along Outgunned and Outgunned, is it League of Killers? So I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. I requested that quite a while ago. So I'm like, oh, okay. Like I said before, right now, Free League Publishing is kind of tricky as far as working with them. Stuff will just show up out of nowhere. And they've got an outside company that's handling like their PR, which never seems to work all that well for some strange reason. So anyway, so that is on its way. It's shipped. So maybe if it arrives, we'll get a chance to take a peek at that. I'm hoping maybe we get to see the Game Master's Guide for Pendragon 6th edition. Maybe that shows up. I will say we are going to take a look at Hammer and Anvil as well as Mortar and Pistol. So we're going to do that next week. I think I'm going to put them together in one video. I think we'll take a look at both of these at one time. And then, of course, I will have reviews of those too. So sweet. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Once again, I want to remind you that I will be a live guest on the Philadelphia area Gaming Expo's live stream tomorrow night at 8:30 Central. I do not have a link for the stream, so I am sharing the link for the channel. So if you head on over to the channel at 8:30, you'll see there's a live stream. Click on that. You'll be good to go. So if you don't have anything cooking tomorrow night, I know it's a Friday night, pop on in, hang out. And like I said, I have no idea what they've got planned. I guess they're going to just kind of ask me questions about the hobby and how I got involved and stuff like that. So we shall see. We shall see. All righty then. That is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company while I'm sharing the news or taking a first look at a game. So I appreciate that quite a bit. Of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out to watch any of the over 2,100 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for our latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you'd like to support the Gaming Gang, by all means, check out our Patreon. There is a link to the show notes. And of course, if you'd like to join our Discord server, there is also a link to that in the show notes. Yeah. And I should also point out, I'm trying to, did I bring that back upstairs? Oh, no. I didn't. If you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. We'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. We'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of The One Ring, Realms of the Three Rings from Free League Publishing. Yay. All righty. So once again, I'm Jeff McAleer. Thank you very kindly for watching. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.